मीन। हाँ बस ठीक है, वो मैंने शुरू कर दिया उसको।
हाँ
मैंने
ठीक है साहब।
हाँ। वो जरा मैं उससे पूछ लेता हूँ ऊटी से।
नरेंद्र भंडारी जी वेलकम। मैं रवि शर्मा।
हाँ शर्मा साहब नमस्कार साहब।
नमस्कार नमस्कार।
शशिकांत जी भी हैं, वेरी गुड।
हाँ
सो नाइस।
अशोक सिंघवी जी भी हैं।
सिंघवी साहब आ गए, बिल्कुल।
सिंघवी साहब आप अभी पीआरएल में बैठते हैं या कहीं और?
मुझे पूछ रहे हैं आप?
हाँ
नहीं,
सिंघवी
सिंघवी
साहब।
साहब को
नहीं, मैं आई वर्क फ्रॉम होम बट आई हैव अ चेयर इन पीआरएल सर।
चेयर इन पीआरएल।
तो मेरे स्टूडेंट्स काम करते हैं, लेकिन सिंस आई एम अबव 65 आई एज पर द न्यू रूल्स वी कैन नॉट गो टू पीआरएल।
ओह ओके, कोविड
बिकॉज
की
ऑफ
वजह
कोविड की वजह
से।
से।
वैसे तो जाते हैं आप?
वैसे समटाइम्स बट मोस्टली फ्रॉम होम।
ये इसमें को होस्ट कैसे बनाते हैं? जैसे मैं स्टार्ट किया तो मेरे को को होस्ट बनाना है। हाँ
आप पूर्वी को बुला लीजिए ना, वो
एक
वो
मिनट
कर
एक
दें।
मिनट।
हाँ।
तो पर मेरे स्टूडेंट्स और पोस्ट लोग काम करते हैं वहां पर।
हाँ
आपके सब्जेक्ट?
एक सेकंड। हाँ हाँ, मोर के ऑप्शन में आता है मेक होस्ट, अलाउ टू रिकॉर्ड। को होस्ट नहीं आ रहा मेरे अंदर।
आपने मीटिंग चालू की है?
हाँ
तो आएगा ही
नहीं आ रहा है। अलाउ टू मल्टीपिन ये है। पुट इन वेटिंग रूम। को होस्ट नहीं आ रहा है, इसके अंदर नहीं आ रहा है।
तो मेक होस्ट कर दो साहब, उसमें कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है।
हाँ तो मैं स्टार्ट करके और फिर मैं आपको को होस्ट बना दूंगा वो।
नहीं, आप स्टार्ट बाद में भी कर सकते हैं, उसमें कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है।
हाँ नहीं बिल्कुल करेक्ट, मतलब
और एडमिट भी उनको ही करना पड़ेगा सर।
हाँ ठीक है। नहीं अभी तो ठीक है। अच्छा वो दिक्कत आ रही थी इसमें, को होस्ट का ऑप्शन क्यों नहीं आ रहा है, समझ में नहीं आ रहा है मेरे को।
देखना पड़ेगा सर, ऐसे तो होता नहीं है, वो टाइट रहेगा।
नहीं आ रहा है, को होस्ट नहीं आ रहा है इसके अंदर।
है कहीं पर
नहीं आ रहा है को होस्ट।
आप किसको प्रेस कर रहे हैं?
नहीं मोर को, ये
मोर किसका?
नाम, ये पार्टिसिपेंट में आपका जैसे प्रेस किया मैंने।
मोर।
हाँ
और आपका करिए।
मोर का प्रेस किया आपने?
नहीं, वो मैंने भंडारी साहब को बनाना चाहता हूँ तो मैंने भंडारी साहब के वहाँ प्रेस किया।
नहीं,
ओहो हो।
आपके नाम के आगे को करने का क्लिक, और फिर आप वहाँ पे भंडारी सर को करके वो होस्ट कर।
अच्छा उसमें रिनेम आता है तो रिनेम चेंज कर दूं? कोर्स
नहीं
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 नहीं सर, आप रीनेम नहीं करने का, आपका तो आपके नाम से ही होगा ना।
हाँ
एक्टर
उसमें मोर आ रहा है।
हाँ
मोर में केवल रीनेम आ रहा है और एड प्रोफाइल पिक्चर आ रहा है।
और भंडारी सर के आगे को होस्ट नहीं आ रहा है।
नहीं भंडारी साहब के आगे कोर्स नहीं आ रहा है।
वो कौन से आईडी से आए हैं उनको पूछो।
नहीं वो हमारी आईडी तो नहीं है ना।
हाँ पर वो आईडी से एंटर हुए वो।
भंडारी साहब आप कौन सी आईडी से एंटर हुए?
नहीं, आपकी आईडी से।
नहीं पर वो हमारे कोठारी इंस्टीट्यूट के उससे जूम से कर रहे हैं काम अभी।
सर वो तो समझ गई, पर भंडारी सर एंटर अगर लिखते हुए तो ही उनको आएगा। वो अपनी जो आईडी है जीएसटी,
हाँ
उसमें से एंटर होंगे तो नहीं आएगा।
नहीं उसमें थोड़ी एंटर हुए होंगे वो।
तो फिर ऐसा नहीं हो सकता।
तो मैं आपको स्लाइड भेज दूं, क्या करूं मैं?
ना किसी के नहीं आ रहा है कोर्स तो।
हाँ लेट अस स्टार्ट साहब।
हाँ
9:33।
यस ठीक है, वो उनको बना देंगे। हाँ 9:36। 2 मिनट और वेट करना साहब।
हाँ वेलकम रावल साहब।
राहुल साहब स्वागत। सिंघवी साहब आपका स्वागत साहब।
नमस्कार सर। नमस्कार
नमस्कार।
साहब आपका सब्जेक्ट क्या है?
आई एम फ्रॉम, मेरा सब्जेक्ट आई एम फ्रॉम फिजिक्स में हूँ, लेकिन मैं अभी जियो साइंस में काम करता हूँ। but
Very
मेरा डॉक्टरेट इन न्यूक्लियर फिजिक्स,
न्यूक्लियर,
इसमें ऐसा जियो
बट अभी जियो साइंस में।
ठीक,
अहमदाबाद में है सब आप?
वेरी गुड।
Singhvi Saab holds many important positions at
Yes.
national and international level.
Oh,
He is
Wonderful.
president of Indian National Science Academy, vice president, and president of Gujarat Science Academy. And
अभी इंसा के आप प्रेसिडेंट हैं?
vice
नहीं, वाइस
president.
प्रेसिडेंट। आई हैव
Vice
स्टेप डाउन,
president.
मेरा टर्म अभी खत्म हुआ है सर। आई वाज वाइस प्रेसिडेंट इन सर।
वेरी गुड, वेरी गुड।
नागरानी जी आपका स्वागत।
नमस्कार साहब। नमस्कार
नमस्कार साहब, क्या हाल चाल है? अच्छा कोठारी साहब स्वागत आपका।
नमस्कार साहब।
नमस्कार साहब।
सर वी स्टार्ट इट्स 9:35, वी अनाउंस
हाँ,
at 9.
yes, we start. Okay, so I am very happy to welcome all of you on behalf of Dr. Daulat Singh Kothari Institute for Research and Education, Udaipur, which has just started recently. And we have started a monthly series of lectures for public, for making the public aware about the advancements and developments in science. So we already have 4 lectures, and this is now going to be the 5th lecture. And this lecture will be now delivered by Professor Narendra Bhandari, and title of the topic is A Legacy of Chandrayaan-1. As you must be knowing, Dr. Bhandari was the main person, key person who started this Chandrayaan mission. So we are having an excellent opportunity to hear his experience and what type of situation he faced and how he encountered them. And finally, the whole nation became proud of this achievement of Chandrayaan-1 mission. So he will start with this. Now, this series of lectures is being organized by actually by some 11 organizations. Some of them are very small, but they are all cooperating and collaborating. And this is the scenario which we want to establish, that the time has come, then many organizations should join together to propagate science and technology in our country at the grassroots level. So with this actually assumption, so many institutions have just joined together: Science and Spirituality Research Institute, Jain Academy of Scholars, Vigyan Samiti Udaipur, Darshan Vigyan Pratok Udaipur, then Science and Spirituality Study Group, and you can see many others. Now, I will introduce Dr. Narendra Bhandari Saab. You know already he is an internationally renowned scientist, and as you know, he is doing so many work in widely different disciplines. So Professor Narendra Bhandari is a space scientist. He carried out research in planetary, atmospheric, and earth sciences at Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, Mumbai, University of California, San Diego, and Physical Research Laboratory of Department of Space at Ahmedabad. He was among the first group of scientists to study the samples of moon brought by Apollo missions of NASA and Luna missions of USSR. He started and chaired ISRO's Planetary Sciences and Exploration PlanX program and made pioneering contributions to India's first mission to moon, Chandrayaan-1. He was member of the Moon Mission Task Force, Chandrayaan-1 Science Advisory Board, and Instruments the Selection Committee for Mars Orbiter Mission of ISRO. He served as president of the International Lunar Exploration Working Group. For his contributions to planetary and space sciences, Professor Bhandari has been honored with several national and international awards. A notably Outstanding Achievements Award of ISRO for his contributions to space, Indian Space Program, Vikram Sarabhai Award in Planetary and Space Sciences, National Mineral Awards of Government of India, and Special Certificate of Recognition by NASA. He has also been given the Marwar Ratna Award and Lifetime Achievement Award of the Institute of Genealogy, Ahmedabad. The Visionary Society of California has honored him with the title of Space Visionary. Actually, presently, he has started two new institutions. One is the Science and Spirituality Research Institute, and another is the Jain Academy of Scholars. And he is president of both these societies, both these institutions. So I welcome Professor Bhandari to start his this presentation. I will stop sharing and I will share it. Just a minute. हाँ भंडारी साहब आप होस्ट बन गए अब आप
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
तो आपको एडमिट भी करना पड़ेगा वो प्रॉब्लम है इसलिए कोई भी नए विजिटर्स आएंगे तो आपको थोड़ा बीच बीच में क्लिक करना पड़ेगा
कर देंगे साहब.
सॉरी
So a few days ago, Dr. Pokharna asked me to talk about Chandrayaan 1. I was really surprised because Chandrayaan 1 is a very old story. And I offered to talk about Chandrayaan 2 or Mangalyaan or space program of ISRO. But for some reasons, he preferred to me to talk about Chandrayaan 1. Actually, in these days of internet and Google, almost everybody knows everything. So I was wondering what to talk which is not known to people. And the only thing I have is some stories or some incidents, so which are not, known very well. So I think I will talk a little bit about Chandrayaan 1 and how it took shape, and also a little bit, if time permits, about Mangalyaan and Chandrayaan 2, because I think, of course, Modi ji has popularized Mangalyaan very much throughout the world. So wherever I go, they talk about this comparison of cost of going to Mars is so meager, it is like an auto rickshaw fare. But I'll talk about science because some here and there. So how it started all is that I think we have to go back to 1994 when PSLV was successfully tested. And we were going around the corridors in PRL, congratulating for this great success. This was a big leap forward for ISRO to make this rocket. And I met a friend who knew a lot about orbits and capacity of rockets, much more than me. And he told me that, we can go to moon with this. I really didn't believe it because I have seen that Saturn rocket in NASA, which is much bigger. And I was wondering whether we can really go. We sounded the See, I'm going to talk about all this in very lighter vein. So maybe sometime I'll introduce some science. But it's also important to know how the whole thing grew. So when we consulted the chairman ISRO through our director and so on, we were told that you see, there are a lot of more things, and Dr. Sarabhai has charted the, charter of ISRO, that it should work for the benefit of mankind and improvement of our country, and so on, of the society. So, they didn't really take up this, and the moon mission, which is really exotic, and every time we talk about it, people say what benefit you will get. I think the same situation continues till now. So then there is a book which Pallav Bagla, he's an an NDTV editor. He has written called Destination Moon, where he has given the whole history of how the whole thing developed. Those of you who are interested may read that book. Very light book, but very thoroughly written. And it so happened that since ISRO had to do remote sensing and communication, and this moon mission was a low priority item. But all of a sudden in 1998, the chairman ISRO, Dr. Kasturi Rangan, probably thought that we have accomplished lots of things in communication and remote sensing, and he was looking for some new problem, and he recalled that we can actually go to the moon. So Dr. Adimurthy at VSSC, Vikram Sarabhai Space Center, he is the man who calculates orbits and payloads and how much it can carry. And he came up with that, yes, we can go to the moon. So all of a sudden, a committee was constituted, and we were supposed to give a report called the feasibility report to say whether we can go there. And it so happened that I have experience in lunar samples. I've been working at University of California actually before the Apollo samples were brought in. And I came back here to TIFR thinking that I think if really samples are to come, then we should work from India, because there I was just the lowest level of faculty, and there were big stalwarts there, Professor Harold Urey and Hans Suess and James Arnold and all bigwigs. So I was just the smallest guy in the group. There was a group of 6 people who prepared the NASA laboratory for receiving the moon samples. So Professor Jim Arnold was the chief. So we designed that laboratory where moon samples will come and we'll measure the radioactivity. But I thought it is better to come here, and Professor Lal was our chairman. So he said, yeah, it's a good idea. And we came here and we wrote a proposal. We got moon samples, both Professor Lal and myself, and so on. So why I decided to talk about Chandrayaan 1, that it has some connection with Dr. D.S. Kothari. You see, we got the samples. Americans work in a different way. They work from scientist to scientist. So once you write a proposal and it is accepted, we got the sample through the embassy. But soon after, the USSR went to moon and brought back sample. And we wrote a proposal. They said, no, you come through the National Academy of Sciences. We don't recognize individual people. So I went and met Dr. Kothari, and he was president of INSA. So he kindly agreed that yes, you should go and bring the samples. So because of his support and interest, I could go to USSR and get the Luna 16 and 20 samples. And we worked on it, and Kothari Sahab was very kind to publish that book as from INSA, and he sent me even a signed copy, autographed copy, so I was very happy. Anyway, that is there, but Udaipur also has a big connection with Chandrayaan, and I'll come to it in a little while. So we started working on this. We meanwhile moved to this Sarabhai's laboratory at PRL and set up the laboratory for lunar samples and so on. So we prepared a feasibility report and we submitted to
Good morning, Dr. Narendra.
Chairman ISRO. Please mute everybody who are not.
Bejana, I sent you.
Okay. Now then we realized, Kasturirangan, Dr. Kasturirangan, he works very fast. He immediately constituted a moon mission task force, and we were supposed to prepare this feasibility report. So we prepared. I think it took us 2 years, and we were wondering whether what to name it. So we gave some names, and I don't want to discuss about how ISRO works. Maybe come towards it in the end. But this was submitted to the government after ISRO Council, Space Commission, administrative review, financial review, technical review. So many reviews are there, and that is very good thing because it becomes perfect. And finally, the Prime Minister approved it. We heard in 2002, maybe around December or something, that this mission has been approved. But the approval didn't come because the Prime Minister, Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee, he wanted to announce it on Independence Day. So, on 15th August from Red Fort, he announced that India will go to moon, and that is when actually the work began. So, I'll show you some slides now. Uh, um, is it visible? No. 1 minute. How do you screen share?
यार स्क्रीन पे जाकर के वो जो आपकी स्लाइड्स है उस पर क्लिक कर दीजिए.
नहीं, normally it comes the other way. हाँ, right. Is it anything visible?
No.
नो आई थिंक पहले आप शेयर स्क्रीन पे क्लिक करें ना. हाँ, आ गया.
हाँ, अब आ गया.
Okay. So I'm going to talk about legacy of Chandrayaan-1 mainly. So this is the moon, and this is the orbit of the Chandrayaan-1 mission. And because I had worked at
Anderson, can you
NASA.
make it full screen? Can you make it full screen?
Yes, I'll go slide show, I think.
Yes.
And 1 minute.
लेफ्ट में. वो नीचे
बॉटम पे है ना, बॉटम पे साइन है, बॉटम पे. बॉटम
Uncle,
right.
play from start.
बॉटम पे राइट में साहब, राइट साइड.
बॉटम राइट पे एक साइन
The
है.
first icon.
या अभी आ रहा है, बस आ रहा है. दो चार और इधर राइट में, और राइट में, थोड़ा और राइट में, और राइट में.
हाँ.
नहीं, और राइट में. हाँ, ये हाँ, यस. ये.
Okay. So, because I had worked with moon samples and ISRO had to just take this big step. This responsibility fell on me to design what we should do, because going after 50 odd moon missions, and also they have brought the samples back, I think there is very little one can do. And newspapers were always saying that NASA is going to rediscover the wheel. So this was a big challenge. And I looked at what has been done by Russia and NASA, and found that all the samples have come from the equatorial plane. That is easy to send a lander there, land it, and actually even much easier from the equator to get it back. So everything was at the equator, a little belt here, and little or almost no work was done on the poles. So, well, without, we thought about it, and I suddenly remembered that the poles of the moon are very cold. Actually, the daytime on moon is 120 degrees Celsius. So all the water and everything will vaporize. The night side is minus 170 degrees below zero. 170 degrees below zero. So everything will be frozen. So it is continually acting as a distill, and finally everything goes to the poles, because poles are at 230 degrees below zero, and there the ice deposit, and there are regions where uh, 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 what you say, no sunlight reaches. The sun's orbit and moon's orbit is such that sunlight cannot reach the deep craters, and that is where all the ice must be deposited. And I suddenly remembered that one of my professors, James Arnold, had suggested that lunar poles must have water. Now, it so happened that I myself worked on moon samples, and everybody said that moon is bone dry. Bone dry means it has no water, not even water of crystallization. So we decided to take a chance, and we have this polar orbiter. This is the first time. I don't know how to go back.
Sir, left arrow on your
Ah,
keypad.
so this is the yellow is the orbit, and we said every 2 hours the orbiter will go and see a pole. 120 minutes is the orbit, and that is very good. So we concentrated on this water, and people said that no, there is no water. Why are you wasting time? And this is, of course, Mangalyaan, the Mars orbiter mission. I'll talk about it a little later, but this is an adventure in itself. I still wonder with what ingenuity our ISRO engineers and scientists accomplished it, because it was a very, very difficult mission. So on the left, this moon orbiter is the first step outside the gravity of the Earth. We had never ventured to go out. And on the right side, I think it is one of the most complex missions. And this is what I'm going to talk. But let me remind you of the humble beginnings of ISRO. ISRO has a different approach compared to, let's say, NASA. What NASA does is it develops a technical know-how first, all technical parts of a mission, then floats that idea and see what science can be done. But ISRO, from the very beginning, from the time of Sarabhai and other chairman, always do science and technology together. There is no science mission separately and technical mission separately, as in NASA. So when Sarabhai wanted to start the ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization, he said, what science we can do? That is the first question comes to all of us. That is how we have been trained. And he said, well, equatorial atmosphere has not been studied much, ionosphere and all that. And I'm glad Satyendra is here and so many other friends from ISRO are there. They will probably repeat, have heard these all stories before. But anyway, he went to equatorial region in Thumba, and he selected a site, and there was a church. So he went to the Father Pereira and said, I want to take this land for what you call space rocketry and so on. So the father was taken aghast, and he said, what? Here children live, you want to take the abode of the children. Here I live, you want to take my abode. And you want to, there is a church here, and you want to take away the abode of the God. We can't give it. But next morning he called Sarabhai, and when the children were there, and he asked this question, what do sciences do? All of us experience, including this church, the light from electricity. I am able to talk to you through the mic, which is made possible by technology. The treatment to patients by doctors come from medical sciences. Science through technology enhances the comfort and quality of human life. And what do I do as a preacher? I pray for you, for your well being, for your peace. In short, what Vikram Sarabhai is doing and what I am doing are the same, your welfare. So, both science and spirituality seek the Almighty's blessings for human prosperity in body and mind. And He gave the site. And that is where Thumba launching station is there now. And this is the ISRO's journey from 1963 to 2003. As you know already, most of you, they were taking rocket parts by cycle because there was no road. And then I think one fellow was walking to hold if the weight was more. And in 1981, finally, we got a bullock cart. And from there, in 2008, that is a lot of time, of course, we got the Chandrayaan mission. So with very humble beginning, ISRO covered a lot of sky. But the question coming to science is, why go to the moon? Is it just for prestige, or being one of them who also ran, or what for? But it is much more important than that. You see, uh, if moon were not there, I want to show by this slide that if moon were not there, we will not be there. And the reason is the following. The moon is a big body and goes round the earth. So the wobble of the earth is reduced by gravity, and the climate becomes equitable. Somebody has calculated that if moon was not there, we'll go from 100 degrees Celsius to minus 100 degrees Celsius. But now we are at comfortably minus 50 plus minus. So this has happened because of the moon. The other thing happened because of the moon is that when Earth was formed first, it had a 5-hour period. That means um, you get up and the day is only 2.5 hours. By the time you take a cup of tea, it is evening. And by the time you go to the bed, it is morning again. Now, moon has reduced this period. I mean, actually increased this period, slowed down the earth. So now we have a comfortable 24-hour period. And this is because of the tidal forces of the moon. But more importantly, the moon was very close. You know, we have calculated the moon. Actually, I mean, it is known that now moon has come out of the earth. But I'll talk about it later on. But moon was very close, orbiting the earth, and tides were very large. It was probably covering 1/4 of the sky at one time. And the tides were so strong that the moon brought marine life on the land by tides, like run of Kutch. But many of them could not go back when the tide stopped and ebb started. Some were left behind. And according to Darwinian evolution, they tried to live on land and finally converted into humans, evolved into humans. So we actually live, we owe our life, our existence to moon. And that is why I think, to my mind, it is very important to study moon. It is not so exotic as many people think. Now, in honor of many Indian scientists, they name the craters, you see. So I just want to say Sarabhai is one of them on the front side. And this is the back side. We have Saha, Meghnad Saha, Satyendranath Bose, Homi Bhabha. So these craters have been named after these people. But the main purpose of showing you this slide is that the two sides of the moon, the front and back, are very dissimilar. There are big dark regions here and very small craters and whitish looking things here. So this is another reason at that time we thought we should, this asymmetry between front and back. So there are 3 reasons to go to the moon. One is related to Earth and Earth-Moon relationship, because on Earth all the geological records are lost because of volcanoes, plate tectonics, and what you call volcanoes and earthquakes and so on. Whereas moon is like you keep something in refrigerator. So you can learn more about Earth from a study of moon, because all the events are recorded there and are, preserved as they are. Then about the sun also we can learn, because moon has no atmosphere. So sun's rays fall directly on the moon, and that is the field in which I have worked most, about interplanetary space and about the sun. But the burning problem at the time of Apollo and later were that how the moon was formed. It is very rare. I don't have time just now to go into various reasons, but there are three theories. One is the moon has come out of the earth. We call it it's Earth's child. Other is the earth and moon were formed together, and that is why we call it Chanda Mama. It is like a brother. And then some people, like Harold Urey, said that no, moon has been captured by the earth. So it was going around as a stray boy and just got captured, saw the ocean and all that. So these three theories had to be distinguished. But when we had this Chandrayaan mission, Manak, there is a journal which Mr. Mehta issues from Jodhpur. And I was surprised to know that all these three theories are written in our scriptures. And they have defined all the three theories. These are the possibilities. And I have given in my book. I finally wrote a book called Mysterious Moon and in India's Chandrayaan mission, because most of the people who were working on this project didn't know much about moon. And in the Hindi translation and Gujarati translation, I have introduced this Manak's stories. So this is, I mean, our ancestors knew. Of course, they favored that it has come out the Pacific Ocean. But that is their preferred hypothesis, but they knew about all these three. So now let me come to a little bit of science. What were the lunar concepts when our Chandrayaan started? One was the hot origin of moon. That moon started as a hot thing because if you take these refractory elements like molybdenum and things which vaporize at high temperature, they are high and very low in volatiles like potassium, sodium. Moon is very low. So they said it is a hot origin and all the volatile elements have been lost. The other theory was that it is dead. When they dated the moon rocks, the oldest one they found is 3.1 billion years old. So they said the moon has no volcanic activity. It is all in the past. Now it is as serene as it was 3.1 billion years ago. And of course, I talked about this, that the moon is bone dry. There is no water there. There is no atmosphere. And there is no tectonic activity, that is inactive moon. So this is what we wanted to solve, and that is how going late was an advantage because lots of things were known, but we did these experiments. I want to make it clear as a experiment done in the laboratory. We wrote down what is the objective, what are the experiments one should do, and what results would mean, whether they are positive or negative. So this is how the whole thing was planned. But this picture, the things which I have written in red here, has changed completely after Chandrayaan 1. And that is why it is one of the most successful, scientifically and technically most successful mission. We proved the hot origin of moon. I'll show you some data. We showed that it is not dead. We have volcanic activity as young as 2 or 3 million years. Neeraj Srivastava from PRL has done, and people from SAC here in Space Application Center has also worked on that. Then the moon is not dry. There's a lot of water, and we have done this work. And I will tell you that we put 4 experiments on this, all to look for water. And people were saying that you are wasting the valuable resources. It takes thousands of dollars to send a kilogram of equipment to moon, and why put four, put only one? But I had some problem because if something goes wrong or if the data are not reliable, then nobody will believe. So we put 4 experiments there, and so on. So let me, we set down mission objectives, mineralogical, chemical, and photogeological mapping. The objectives are very general. You don't write very specific objectives, but I have told you about them, that what were the specific problems we wanted to solve. It will have a 100 kilogram polar orbiter. It will go by PSLV, and Dr. Adi Murthy showed that yes, it can take that much material. So 550 kilogram was launch capability, out of which 80 kilogram was taken by fuel, 440 kilogram by spacecraft. So spacecraft itself takes 440 kilogram, 60 kilogram for payload. So there are two problems in every mission. One is the weight, how much you can put, and one is the power, whether you can run. So housekeeping, that means managing and monitoring the spacecraft, that housekeeping takes a lot of weight and power. So we were only given 50 kg, and you know, at that time ISRO had not gone out of Earth's gravity, and their weight is no problem, because you are going around the Earth, you can put as much as you want. So we never developed very miniaturized, sophisticated, even cameras. The smallest camera at that time we had is several kilogram, and when we looked at it, then a 100-gram coin like that, a 8-anna coin actually can make a camera in 11 wavelengths. I mean, that was a big thing. But ISRO took this chance, particularly our friends under Dr. Kiran Kumar at SAC and at LEOS, the electro-optical laboratory in Bangalore. So here is the Chandrayaan 1 milestones. I write this below here in case I run out of time.
क्या
So
बैटरी लो बता रहा है.
Sorry,
गड़बड़ कर रहा है
क्या हो गया
ना. आप कंटिन्यू करिए, आप कंटिन्यू.
हाँ,
पोखरणा जी, आप सबको म्यूट कर दीजिए.
अरे ये हो नहीं रहा है सर, यहाँ पे प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है.
अच्छा. Anyway, 1995 we attained the rocket launching capability. Sorry. And in 1999, a committee was formed, and then we had the first meeting at Indian Academy of Sciences, where I presented the overview. And then we had another meeting in Astronautical Society of India meeting here in SAC. And then, of course, all this thing I have talked about. And 2003, it was approved by the Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee. And then in 2008, we said it will take 5 years. And exactly on the dot, on 22nd October at 6:22 4 this was launched. And I'll tell you the launch story. But it landed on the moon. A small probe was landed on the moon, or crash landed on the moon on Jawaharlal Nehru's birthday. That just is incidental. We didn't plan really that day that way. We had planned it differently, but so it happened, and our tricolor was flown. And it worked for about 312 days. And in August 2009, it was declared complete. Of course, we had planned for 2 years. So that was one deficiency, and I'll tell you why it happened so. I'm glad many people here listening today from ISRO friends were there. And I want to bring this Udaipur connection here. what happened actually is that we had prepared this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 payloads, wondering that maybe these 5 will take away that 50 kilogram of load. But there was so much pressure from Annadurai, who was our project director, that we finished something in 40 kilograms. So 10 kilogram of extra capability remained. And I didn't know what to do about it. We had no time to build because it itself took 3 years or so. And at that time, it so happened that I went to Vienna to present this paper with Adi Murthy and Agarwal, PC Agarwal and myself. And when we put this slide there, a man called Manuel Gran from UK came and say, "Oh, this is the kind of mission I would like to have, but Europe is not sending." And I already have built the instruments. So I said, "Why don't you come along?" So we put his instrument there. And similar thing happened when I went to Hawaii to present our mission was very mature. Then as I gave my talk and came out in the corridor, somebody started coming, running after me and said, "What is this you are doing? You are sending all the, equipments which have already been sent. You have nothing new." I said, "Well, even this was very hard to build for us because we are doing it for the first time." Then he said, "I have one radar which has never been flown. Would you like to, send it? That is brand new." And radar, all because it was used in, similar one was used in Ayodhya to see underground. A radar can penetrate deep, and we didn't have anything which can tell us what is there deep below on the moon. So we had this 5 monitors. So Chairman ISRO was kind enough to have what you call announcement of opportunity, and some 30 proposals came, out of which 13 were good, and we selected 5. This was the one was Moon Mineral Mapper. This was better better means it covered more wavelength, higher wavelength than what Dr. Kiran Kumar and his group built, the hyperspectral imager. Then we had a miniature synthetic aperture radar, and this is what can look deep inside, and some more things. We had one called SARA, sub keV atom reflecting analyzer, and so on. There was one from Germany, one from Belgium. So when all these foreigners, but they could do in 10 kilogram. Of course, the only problem was when some of them ran, we had to shut off all our instrument because of power constraint. But we had built this, what you call this box, which could only take 5 of these, what we had planned. And there is no space for the extra 5. So our designers at Bangalore, Annadurai and his team, had a double floor, one floor here and one floor here. So few here, few here. And the biggest problem here in this is that you have to look for 100 kilogram. It is like looking at Lakeview Hotel in Udaipur from Ahmedabad. You should point there exactly. And just before us, the Europeans sent Smart 1 mission, and they could not accomplish this, angle, perfection of angle, that all instruments look at one place. One was looking at London and other was looking at Tokyo, like that. It was 100 kilometer, and is a long distance. So that is where I come to Udaipur. When there were 5 groups from abroad, then we said we should have a conference so that these fellows will know how to fit their instrument. They will know what else is going on, and we can all meet and discuss. Our chairman insisted that we have this in Ahmedabad, this meeting. And well, I was thinking that in Ahmedabad, everybody comes and goes for shopping, and it's not a good place. So I insisted that we should go to Udaipur, but he didn't agree. Fortunately, there was a doctors' conference during the same period, and they had booked all the hotels. So he tried very hard, but even he couldn't get any hotels to accommodate 200 people. So finally, he said, "Okay, go to Udaipur," and we were there in the Udaipur. And of course, I invited Dr. Kalam to inaugurate it. Here is the Pratibha Patil. She was the governor of Rajasthan.
हाँ?
So she at that time later
हाँ
became
डॉक्टर हैं
president.
लेकिन वो साइंस वाले मेडिकल वाले नहीं पीएचडी पीएचडी मालूम है
Please don't talk because it disturbs everybody.
जस्ट में
Please mute yourself. Okay, so all these people came. Vasundhara Raje Scindia couldn't come because there were some elections in Udaipur, and the election commission didn't give her permission to come. And this is our chairman Madhavan Nair at that time. He's presenting a replica of Chandrayaan 1 to the president, and here is finally on the leftmost is the host. So we had this fantastic conference in Darbar Hall, and I think it is a memorable one. And that is where all these people met, foreigners and Indian scientists and engineers, and we formally launched our Chandrayaan 1. So I just wanted to bring this to your notice. Here is the real, Chandrayaan 1 being assembled in the satellite center of ISRO. And I must draw your attention to this box here. This box is called Moon Impact Probe. This wasn't planned. Actually, it comes here. And what happened is, there are lots of stories I can tell you, but there isn't enough time. So to cut short, Dr. Kalam inaugurated it, and after his talk was my talk about the Chandrayaan mission. I think Purvi is one who was also there at that time, so she will remember. And after my talk, we had lunch. So Kalam Sahab, in his inimitable style, told me that, "Bhandari, what is this? You are going to the moon, but actually not going to the moon." I said, I couldn't follow for a minute what he's saying. And then he himself clarified it, that you are going to moon all the way, but not touching it. You are only sending an orbiter. So why don't touch it? And I said, "Sir, here is Annadurai, and it says you can't even put one additional screw. The weight is fully used. Actually, we have put 5 more instruments from abroad, and we have a lot of problem launching it. And impact probe, what is the use of going to the moon when we cannot soft land?" But to my surprise, Chairman ISRO and Annadurai immediately agreed. They said, "Yes, we will think about it." And I was left guessing that how, if President of India, he wants some weight to be put, he can defy gravity. I thought it was impossible to defy Newton. But these two people, the chairman and our project director, they immediately agreed. And I asked them how much weight would be there. "Oh, roughly 30 kilogram. I said, "What is this, Annadurai? You are not allowing us to put one screw extra, and you will put 28 kilogram." So since I was very much worried and critical of the whole thing, they somehow, I'll tell you how they did it, but it was done. So President of India is actually a very powerful man. I realized that day. So this we have discussed. This I have shown you. Actually, it is something like our, Maruti Fronti of that size. and this was being assembled, and these are various instruments, very meticulously made by these various laboratories of ISRO. But there are, few things I want to say. One was launch strategy, autonomous operation, and infrastructure development. These three are very important. We didn't have much experience with autonomous operation, miniaturization, innovation, and all that. So we needed dishes, This is a dish, for example, which tracks the satellite, and we needed three of them. Three of them because one covers about 120 degrees, 1/3 of the total circle. So three of them are required to cover it, monitor it all the time. And we contacted, people, ISRO contacted our friends abroad, NASA and all that. There is one in Australia, one in USSR has some, and NASA has many. But except USSR, everybody told that no, this thing is very busy. It is fully booked for next 5 years. We can't give you. And they said, even if we give you our charges, it will be commercial. It will be $2,000 per hour. Or $2,000 per hour. And if you take it for 6 months, you know how much it will cost. So, just in the lighter vein, I want to say it is good to have some Gujaratis and Marwadis in the committee. Somebody immediately calculated, then he said, in this much money, I can build it myself and charge them $2,000 an hour and recover it in a very short time. So, this is how the idea of a dish came, and Dr. Shiv Kumar, who is in Bangalore, he built two dishes actually, not one. A 32 meter. For your TV, you need a small 1-foot dish, but for a place as far as moon or beyond, you need something like 100-foot dish, which can be rotated and aligned and monitor it all the time. And he built another small one. So we have two dishes now at Bailalu, and the credit goes to these people who took this challenge, and everything worked out in time. So now, I already discussed some of things, but what were the problems and what were the solutions? I want to discuss this because this has not been talked about much. Polar orbiter, I talked. Antenna, I have talked just now. Foreign collaboration, we talked. Now, what Nadurai and our friends at VSSC and Shah did was amazing. I'll come to it. They increased the height of these pencil cells. I'll show you that. And of course, to accommodate in SAC, they call it real estate. There is no real estate, means you can't put instruments. There is no jaga there. So he put this thing and so on. And the failure of Smart 1 mission to point of one point actually made us very, critical of ourselves and careful. And our friends at SAC did this very well. Every instrument looked at one point, and that, I think, one of the most appreciated point, so on. And there were some last minute hiccups and so on. Sorry? Pokhana Sahab, you tell me when.
Now you can continue.
Oh.
What about, I think.
Okay, okay, sir. So actually we had not planned. This is the orbit of Chandrayaan. We had not planned it that way. When I am saying we, I mean the whole ISRO team. I was only doing the science part, and there were many other experts doing orbit and designing and satellite and launching and all that. But I just use a brief V for that. When we were planning it, it was planned that it will go in one orbit, come back, and then we'll put on a track to moon, and it will reach there in 5 days. But very surprising thing happened. to do this, we have to be ready
क्या हटाना है वो हटा लो, गीला नहीं।
before October. Because in October or November, this northeast monsoon sets in, and you can't launch during that period. Actually, monsoon is not the problem. It is not the rain which is a problem, but it is lightning, because some instruments can be damaged while launching, and then electric short circuit can be there and all that. So it was just a coincidence that when people wanted to send it, Annadurai was our project director, and he said it won't be ready before, let us say, 20th of October. And everybody who knows about monsoon said, well, we can't launch after 20th of we can't launch after in November. The point is that you have only 2 windows to launch to the moon with our kind of rocket. If you had a powerful rocket, you can launch anytime and then turn it to go to the moon. But since we wanted to save fuel and it has to be economically fuel efficient, you have to launch it at the right time so that there is no turn and twists and required, and it follows a straight path. So it was very disappointing that we have to wait till February 2009 to be able to launch it. But I think that people had a brilliant idea, and these people said, why don't you launch on whenever it is ready before the monsoon, and let it stay in a parking orbit, because there it doesn't rain in space, and when the window comes, we'll send it to moon. So they launched on 22nd October, kept it for I think till 5th of November, just going around, giving it a little boost, and actually that saved a lot of fuel for us, because every time it comes here and you give a little change angle, it goes to a higher orbit, and we almost reached moon in the 5th orbit. Then it was captured by moon's gravity, and it went in an elliptical orbit, and then we more or less had a circular orbit of 100-kilometer height. So this was a coincidence, and I'll show you a little bit of results. Here, this is in the atmosphere. This is the mass. So mass 18 is water, and mass 44 is carbon dioxide. So this is Sridharan's experiment. They measured from this thing which Moon Impact Probe landed on the moon, and I think Dr. Bharadwaj was involved in some of these things. He made the Chase spectro unit, and so many other people. I think normally we call it. I mean, we don't give much importance to who does what, but so when they got this carbon dioxide and water, then they said, okay, somebody must be smoking while it was being assembled. So carbon dioxide and that humid climate of Bangalore and that Satish Dhawan launch pad, that would have given some water. So people were asking all questions, but this is on the what I call sorry. This is on the at altitude of 98 kilometer, and this is on ground. So at high altitude, the carbon dioxide to water ratio, you can see from the peak, is different from what you see in the ground. And that convinced everybody that it's a genuine discovery. Because when Apollo astronauts found that, they said, oh, there is always water where humans are there. And they didn't believe it. So anyway, we got very good results. And you see, while going down on the Earth, on the moon, this Moon Impact Probe, which is entirely, I would say, Dr. Kalam's idea, because of him we included it. We took a spectra. Earlier we had a picture of the moon from far away. and also by astronauts. So that is from very short distance, a closer view and very far view. But this was more like an aeroplane comes down on an airport. You can see things very clearly. And they had 650 spectra and maybe 3,000 pictures, while it took 20 minutes to go and hit the moon. I want to take a little more time to show you some results. When sunlight falls and is reflected back, then sunlight gives a spectrum like this, straight. But when water is there and absorbs some of the wavelengths, then you get a dip. And this is due to water, which was found by Moon Mineral Impact Probe, MCube, we call it in short. And this was the discovery of water on Moon. And this is the picture you take in general, and you take with this 3 micrometer absorption, and you see only poles here. You don't see the rest of it. So there is water only on poles, as we thought, and not all over. So these are some of the results. This was the first experiment. Actually, some little information was there, but this was the most reliable one. And because we put 4 experiments and all gave a positive signal for water, this is very pakka. This is, a definite evidence. And then many new phenomena were discovered. Dr. Bharadwaj and his co-investigators, Barabash and so on, from Sweden. You see on Moon, something like 100 million particles come from the sun and hit every square centimeter every second. There is a lot of particles, 100 million particles per centimeter square per second. But some 10 to 25% are reflected back. And we have worked on this. And of course, we think it is a very complicated mechanism, but that is another discovery. And so we found lots of new things. We found evidence of global melting and so on. You see, we analyzed lots of craters. You see this pinkish looking thing? This is a magnesium spinel, and we found it in all the big craters on the moon, showing that moon was once molten like a lava pool. Just like you have Pacific Ocean here, there was an ocean of lava in the beginning of the moon. That was also proved for the first time, although it was suspected, but we found it at something like 15 positions. And so this was shown that it happened everywhere. It is not a local effect that, okay, just it happened here and here, but it has happened all over in front and back of the moon. So moon was once not as cool and beautiful and serene as it is now, but was a hot pool of lava. That was shown by our this thing. And our friends at Space Application Center found a recent volcanism here, a volcanic rocks, a lava pond, what they call here. So it is very young, and we at PRL, some of my colleagues, Neeraj and others, have dated it, and they think it is 2 to 10 million years ago. So moon is very active. And then one more beautiful thing they found a tunnel. Wherever there is lava, there will be tunnels. If you go to Deccan area, you will find some tunnels here and there. Now this tunnel is about several kilometers long and about 150 meters diameter. So if you want to go and live on moon, this can be converted into a hotel. And it will be safe because a lot of stones go and impact the moon, and very difficult to survive there, very dusty, very unfriendly. And of course, they are trying tourism there. But if they want to try, there's a very beautiful place which can be converted into hotel. And this was done by our friends in the Space Application Center, by Dr. Kiran Kumar and his team. So finally, all this material was not available. They've published more than 100 or 200 papers. So myself and Srivastava, we wrote one paper called Active Moon, Evidence from Chandrayaan 1. And this is actually summary. It tells you all the how the picture changed. And I think this is one of the most um, um, uh, I would say drastic change of the picture before and after Chandrayaan. But I want to say that all these discoveries I have talked about, we found 3 types of water. When I say we, again, my friends here in ISRO and elsewhere, 3 types of water. I'll talk about it some other day. Then we had innovation, miniaturization, instruments which worked, and all the SAC, ISAC, PRL, EOS, SPL, everybody. So it was a big teamwork. And one of the big outcomes of this mission, I must mention here, is international collaboration. Before Chandrayaan 1, everybody was doing his mission. Nobody would share anything.
हाँ चलता है ना
And hello, please
हाँ?
don't talk.
आप म्यूट कर दीजिए भंडारी साहब सबको.
Arey, this is difficult for me because I have a screen on.
Sorry यार.
So what we did is it was a great teamwork. Some thousands of people worked. First mission which was completed in time, and I give credit. 16 nations participated, and this was a game changer. After our mission, everybody wants to collaborate. Even for the dish, when we built our dish, many countries have contacted us that can we have some time on your dish. So I learned my first lesson that if you have nothing, nobody gives you anything. But if you have something, everybody wants to work with you. So that was a great thing Dr. Shiv Kumar and his team did.
बात तो बंद कर दो, संडे है ना.
And yeah, I think we should mute.
हाँ?
I thought, okay. So this is a model of international collaboration and so on, with 16 people, 16 countries participating, and it has produced fantastic results. Normally, we don't give credit to individuals in ISRO because you may always, you are likely to forget some name here and there. Actually, we don't know many of them. But I thought some people I should mention here. We have people who are spacecraft operation, mission director, directors of the rocket, the people who build rockets, satellites, and our Isaac fellows, and so on. And of course, there are most important thing is data reduction, which our Gopal Krishna and Anand Krishna did. Please, I'll appreciate if you, and this is the kind of picture we get from the pole, South Pole. You see, it is a fantastic thing, and this is a subject in itself. Now, I just take a minute to talk about Chandrayaan 2, which was, the orbiter was very successful, and we put this terrain mapping camera and X-ray spectrometer and mass spectrometer and so on. And it had a rover and a lander also. We had a higher order second generation instruments, but unfortunately that rover and lander has not worked. But we are getting good results, and only recently some papers have started coming. But let me spend some time on Mars mission, because it's one of the most challenging mission I think anybody can ever have. And the point about this is that Mars is like a younger brother of Earth. Its gravity is about half or little less. Its revolution around the sun is about twice as much. Its gravity is similar. Its sunlight it receives is similar, and many things are similar. There is a volcanism. There are atmosphere and so on. So it is in a way a younger brother of Earth, maybe about half the size. It has the same period of the day, about 25 hours. We have 24 hours and so on. And it has the same similar tilt, like Earth has 23 degrees, it has some similar 25 degrees. So there are no two other planets in the solar system which are so similar within a factor of 2. And most importantly, Mars was like Earth long time ago. And this is, we need a bigger solar panel because it is far away. And this is the same dabba we use for Mars mission. And the problem again was the same here. How to go there and what to do there, which is not repeated. So how to go there is not so difficult. Earth is going slowly and Mars is going slowly and Earth is going very fast round the sun. So if you want to go to Mars from Earth, you have to catch it from behind. So when Earth is about here, you jump. It is like jumping from two running cars, one going slowly and one going fast, like that. So you have a specific position when you go. We want to take the jump, and then you can land up in Mars because you know the velocities and all these things, orbits very precisely. So that is not difficult. What is difficult is with PSLV, how do you go there? It is actually, frankly speaking, it has just marginal possibility of taking to Mars. And so you have to improvise the launch and orbit and landing. So that is one problem. Second problem is that any signal to go to Mars, particularly when it is on the other side of the sun, going and coming back takes something like 42 minutes or more. So supposing it is going on a wrong way and you want to say turn, by the say turn, it has already, crossed the danger. So autonomy is the most important. The third thing is that it takes about 10 months to reach there. Now, one engine has to be started after 10 months of sleep. So ISRO had no idea that this engine will work. If you put somebody to sleep like Kumbhakarn and say wake up, will it wake up immediately or not? But all these three operations were done successfully. So we used Earth's gravity to send at the right place in the space. We use sun's gravity to take it to Mars, and we use Mars gravity to go in the orbit around the Mars. It will take me another 20 minutes if I want to describe all these innovations, but they are very exciting and not known in public. So it may be a good idea to talk about them sometime. Now, when we got these pictures, these are the pictures we got ours. Now we don't have to take NASA pictures. And I was surprised, when I first saw, I said, what is this? The resolution is poor or they look all hazy. But actually there is really a haze there. The picture is very sharp. You can see it here, how sharp the picture is. And this is like a desert, If you go to Jaisalmer, you will find there are dunes, and behind that there are hills here. And of course, Dr. Singhvi is an expert on deserts, so he has seen all these things. So you find similar things on Mars, and this shows that winds are blowing, and mostly this is sand. This is the red color due to rust. There are a lot of iron which rusts, and it is very cool. So haze is formed, carbon dioxide solidifies, and there are volcanoes and so on. So I wanted to show you one or two pictures. This is a volcano, one of the oldest volcanoes. This is a valley which is some thousands of kilometers long. It's called the Marineris Canyon, Valle Marineris. This is how the moon, the Mars looks. And the beauty about our this orbit is that when we are closest, we can see all these things clearly. And when we are farthest, we see the whole Mars face, whole face of the Mars. It had an orbit which is something like 400 kilometers at the nearest and 80,000 kilometers at the farthest. So we had this both views from near and far, and we could examine the ground with high resolution as well as we could see the whole Mars and monitor how it changes. So that was very fantastic. And again, about selection of, maybe I take another few minutes to tell you that what to do was always the biggest problem for ISRO, because we don't want to repeat and we are going there late. So we decided to send many instruments, but two of them were good for science. One was methane analyzer, because people suspect if there is water and atmosphere and volcanoes and heat and so on, there must be life. So we put a methane analyzer, so it will measure methane, and if there is bacteria, that will produce methane, and positive signal of methane will indicate presence of life. That is the hottest problem today for this 21st century, to discover life elsewhere. And the other was where from this water on Mars has come, whether it is same as our source, a source of Earth, or it is coming from meteorites, or it is coming from elsewhere. And for that we put a D by H, deuterium by hydrogen, because that is isotopic ratio. So by measuring that we could tell. But the most interesting thing which happened according to me, but not according to our friends in ISRO, is that a comet came and engulfed Mars. When a comet comes, it has thousands of kilometers of tail. It has come to Earth many times and engulfed the whole Earth. There is evidence. Similar thing happened when Mangalyaan went to Mars. And I was very excited. I was probably the only one who was excited. I said, forget about Mars. We have very good instruments. Let us measure the comet, because this thing doesn't happen. But nobody agreed, because putting it in the, in the ions and particles of comet will destroy probably our instruments. So instead of measuring that, I still think would have been a great opportunity to learn about comets. But what they did, they took it back behind the Mars and hid it in its shadow, so that no cometary material will touch it. So all the instruments survived, but we missed this opportunity to learn about Mars. So let me end here by showing you various moons. You are probably aware, this is a super moon. A super moon, as you know, is one when moon is compressed. It looks much bigger than the normal moon. There is a blood moon. This is the blood moon, the red moon, when it is in the shadow, in the penumbra during eclipse. The red light is deflected differently from other wavelengths, and the moon, I saw one from our science city here, looks red. And then there is a hunter's moon. That means you get a moon and another image of moon. This is the real moon and this is the image. This happens in Antarctica, and this is everybody is familiar. So there is a super moon, there's a hunter's moon, there's a blood moon, and there is honeymoon. And honeymoon is honey colored. Usually it happens in the month of May or June, because people who get married in Europe don't go out for honeymoon till the winter is gone, and the first occasion comes in the full moon of May or June, and that looks like that is why it is called honeymoon. So I try to give you just an idea. There are a lot more things we can discuss and share, but thank you very much for listening to me, Mostly it was like a story, a history lecture rather than a science lecture. But I'm sure you learnt a few things which were not known to you before. Thank you very much.
Bhandari sir, thank you very much. It was an excellent lecture, absolutely wonderful. I mean, it was as if we are just going through a story. I mean, somebody is narrating a story, and we are just completely lost in each and every slide which you have shown. I want to give heartiest congratulations to you on behalf of Dr. Daulat Singh Kothari Institute for Research and Education, Udaipur, and 10 more institutions which are involved in this planning of this lecture, inviting you to deliver this lecture. So, heartiest congratulations to you. और लास्ट में आपने हनीमून का जो बताया है उसमें मेरे ख्याल से अभी पूरे वर्ल्ड के अंदर लोगों को जोड़ने की जरूरत है, मतलब इट्स वेरी मच रिक्वायर्ड. सो आई थिंक दिस आल्सो हैज अ डीप मीनिंग, वेरी डीप मीनिंग. सो थैंक यू वेरी मच. नाउ आई hope there will
Thank you, sir. You are very kind. You are always very kind to me.
thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Now, I feel that there will be many questions, so I invite now. The first question is by Dr. Ravi Sharma sir. And actually, those of you who do not know, Dr. Ravi Sharma was scientific secretary of ISRO from 1973 to 1978. I mean, this is absolutely remarkable indeed that he is still so active and he is still working on this lunar data as on today at the age of 85. So that is something we can learn a lot, and I admire him. And here he has beaten us all, and he is the first person to ask the question. So welcome, Dr. Ravi Sharma Saab.
Thank you, Dr. Bhandari Saab and Dr. Pokarna Saab for allowing me. Dr. Bhandari, many questions. It will take 1 hour for us. We will do one-on-one someday. But I will only ask the top few that are on my mind. As you know, I was involved between Apollo 8 and 17 on all the missions. When people landed, the samples they brought, etc., and received the NASA Apollo Award. Dr. Bhandari, for first question is that extra payload. Kalam himself committed, I mean, he confirmed to me that he was instrumental in bringing the probe into the picture for Chandrayaan 1. Our Tiranga, which was put on the moon, was his idea, pushed at the end, which you have fully corroborated. My question is, what was the mechanism used to put that probe on the surface of the moon? Was it spring actuated? Was it a little rocket?
No, sir, it was just dropped. It was just dropped.
So the lunar gravity took care of it.
Right, and it crash landed.
And we didn't know where it landed.
Yeah, that is known, I think.
More or less known.
Yeah.
So that is
because
a
it
very
sent
good
pictures. Till it hit, it was sending pictures. So we know precisely where it landed.
Oh, it was sending a picture when
Yes,
it landed?
as it was going down, it took 24 minutes and it took thousands of pictures as it landed. And we
Wonderful.
released it when it was at equator to go and land on South Pole. So it went all the way to South Pole and while descending, and I know roughly what is the name of that crater. That was the target, and it landed near Shedlovsky or some name is there.
All right.
It landed close to that.
So the second part to the question. Thank you. That is very good. We'll discuss that personally in some detail later. The second question is, the Johns Hopkins University Applied Physics Lab had an experiment jointly with you on Chandrayaan 1. Is that right?
Yeah, that is true. That is this is Spudis thing I told. Spudis was the scientist in charge there.
Right.
And he is one whom I met at Hawaii, and I said he came running after me and said, "Why
So
don't you
is
put my
this
instrument?"
the two peaks that you kindly showed us? There were two peaks in a spectrograph, 80
No, that is
mass
different.
number and
That
all.
is
That is not on that.
That is Carle-Peiter's experiment. That is what is called this near New
Some
York at this place.
atomic spectrometer.
Yeah, it is
Mass-
called. Yeah, there is a spectrometer there which goes up to 5 microns or something like that, or 3.8 microns or something.
But here you are identifying the mass number of the.
No, that is
of
another
the-
one. That is our experiment.
I see.
Sorry, there are two
Very good.
different things. That was three instruments were put in the moon impact probe, so that that carbon dioxide and water was our experiment, the moon impact probe,
I see.
and moon mineral mapper from Carle-Peiter's. It was put in orbiter.
I see.
And that took the picture of the whole moon as well as the spectrum in that 2.8 band. So 2.8 micron band is OH and H2O. So that was there was a dip there, and that means water. So that is another experiment. This is another experiment.
So there are two experiments on Chandrayaan. One that proved existence of water or water
No,
molecules.
sir, there are four.
All four, right?
Yes. One was what you call radar. Radar. The reflection, it would give some wavelength.
All others to stop talking, please. Bhandari sir, you can continue. Sorry. I don't know.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't want to waste time on muting and unmuting. But
You can mute.
there was another one, radar, which could penetrate deep. So it would send one wavelength and receive it back. And the dielectric constant changes due to scattering if water is there or rock is there.
Yeah, sure.
So that is another experiment, and we this time our friend Shiv Mohan, he had designed one which has two wavelengths, because there are certain things you can resolve with that. And then there was this German thing, the infrared spectrometer called SAR. So there were four experiments to do it. The water. And it was redundant, but it definitely proved the existence of water. And we discovered three types of water, as I said.
Thank you. Very good. In Chandrayaan 2, I want to say something. I might have mentioned it to you, but certainly to Pokarna Saab, that I believe, based on some collaboration with another person who is not a scientist, that I believe that the Vikram lander is intact on moon now. And this I have surmised based on LROC images. The Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter has two cameras, and by looking at certain coordinates, we are able to locate where it might be intact. Unlike the Chennai Shanmugan discovery of scatter, this is an intact with shadow. So someday we can collaborate and analyze that image.
We can analyze that, but as I understand, the antenna is tilted. So communication may be difficult.
No, that is all right. But if we can prove that the probe is intact and this is a 1 meter resolution kind of picture, then at least our systems worked as a whole. It's just that in the end we lost the communication.
That always happens.
So therefore, it is important to find out what happened at the end, whether it was broken in pieces or whether it landed in one piece. And I think we can work together and see how it goes further.
Sir, my feeling is it landed in one piece, but on impact it broke. This is what I think.
But how can we see in subsequent images the total shadow showing one piece?
That I have not
So
studied.
we need to have one-on-one
Ji,
separately on this.
That would be
ji.
But that is the second probe. But I am so grateful that you enlightened me on the Chandrayaan one with all kinds of new information, and we will have a session one-on-one sometime later.
Ji.
Thank you, Pokarna Saab.
so. Thank
And
you,
thank you,
Dr. Ravi
Dr.
sir.
Narendra Bhandari.
Thank
Very
you, sir.
nice.
Thank you.
Very
Thank you
nice
very
to
much,
know about you. I will stop now.
Actually, thank you very much, Dr. Ravi Sharma sir. I am very happy that you are still maintaining interest and doing very exhaustive work in further analysis. There was a second question by Dr. Jeev Rajji Saab Jain. Dr. Jeev Rajji Saab Jain, you can ask your question.
Thank you, sir. It was very nice, enlightening. We didn't know anything in detail how these projects are taken up by ISRO and all that. So Bhandari sir has nicely explained what are the problems, how they are planned and all that. It was very enlightening. I just wanted to know orbit. When it goes to moon, our orbiters are increasing their elliptical size and go into the orbit of moon. But I think the other ISRO, the NASA, the other countries, directly sending the probe from Earth to moon instead of going around and all that. Is it way of doing this thing?
Actually, part of your question was cut. I couldn't hear everything. But as I understand, you want to know go directly to moon or go in various orbit, raise them one by one.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we also plan to go directly after one orbit. But this happened because that window would come only on 5th of November, and we had to launch before the monsoon sets up on 22nd of October. So we had this 12 days or something. So during that we tried this, and this actually saved energy for us, because every time it comes near Earth it picks up velocity, and all you have to do is turn the angle. It's called that slingshot effect. So you just turn the angle little, it takes a higher orbit. So actually at the end we saved lot of fuel by doing this.
So
So
second,
this is a better way if you are short of fuel or your capacity of rocket. It may take little longer because
Chandrayaan was
it,
the same thing. Same way.
I'm sorry, your voice is not coming.
I was the Chandrayaan 2 also took the same process of increasing the orbitals and all that.
Yes, it depends on how many times you want to raise the orbit. You don't want to raise many times, so I mean you can go on doing, but more or less similar.
Okay.
Ajay, Bhandari sir, another question by actually Dr. Alok Pandya.
Huh, Pandya Sahab? I'm
So,
glad to see you.
Professor Bhandari, thank you very much. So, this was an updated lecture. Actually, you have added lot many uh, pieces of information to what you talked about in 2011 in a workshop in Jaipur.
Ji.
And there it was about all chemistry of moon. So, one question still remains in my mind, and that's regarding the magnetic field strength on the moon. I mean, because that will help us in designing different kind of experiments if we have precise idea of that. So, is there any information regarding that?
See, moon doesn't have inherent magnetic field.
Okay.
But the rocks have some magnetic field. When the rocks were brought here and measured, they showed some remnant magnetic field. So they think that the magnetic field is produced when a big body comes and collides, and then this debris rises and goes in different direction and meets on the antinodal point.
Okay.
And due to shock, this kind of small magnetic, very low magnetic field can be produced. So that is what it is. And if the rocks are hot, this magnetic field will be frozen as they cool. And that is what is measured. So it is not like the magnetic field of the earth, that it is a permanent one. And of course, we can talk about the origin of moon and all that, but
Okay.
that will take another one lecture. But
Yeah.
the moon has come out of the earth and it was all molten. Something came and hit the moon. That is the theory everybody believes. A hot moon went and then all the debris got together and formed the moon. So this is how it is formed. So it is not big enough to have its own mantle, or although there is a structure as you go down on the moon, but it doesn't have a molten mantle like what we have, convection currents and all that.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Any other question? Is there any other question to anybody who already clear one?
I have one small question.
Yeah, Rajendra ji, yes.
सर पहले तो भंडारी साहब को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. काफी अच्छा लैटिन टॉपिक रहा, लेक्चर रहा. मेरा जस्ट एक डिफरेंट क्वेश्चन है, ऑल टुगेदर डिफरेंट. अपनी अगर एंशिएंट हिस्ट्री देखें, तो जैसे हनुमान चालीसा है, उसके अंदर भी लिखा हुआ था कि धरती से चांद के बीच में दूरी कितनी थी. 3 स्टार के बारे में देखें तो उसके अंदर भी एंशिएंट हिस्ट्री में लिखा हुआ था. रामायण और महाभारत के अंदर मिसाइल्स और एंटी मिसाइल्स के बारे में काफी कुछ लिखा हुआ था. तो क्या कोई ऐसा ग्रुप है जो कि पुरानी एंशिएंट हिस्ट्री को भी पढ़ के उस साइंस को आगे ले जा रहा है?
ऐसा है सर, कि जैसे मैंने बताया, ये तीनों थ्योरीज थी ये अपोलो 11 के टाइम, और ये तीनों लिखी हुई है. और जो माणक का अंक है जो उन्होंने एट द टाइम ऑफ चंद्रयान जो इशू किया, उससे मुझे पता चला कि ये सब थ्योरीज वहाँ अपने वर्णन है. सूक्ष्म श्लोक हैं, उनको आपको इंटरप्रेट करना पड़ेगा. जैसे अपने 27 नक्षत्र है, तो वो लिखे कि उसके चंद्रमा के 27 रानियां थी और वो हर एक के साथ समय बिताता था, और ऐसा कि रोहिणी के साथ ज़्यादा समय बिताता था, लाइक दैट. सो इट इज़ ऑल कोडेड. नाउ नन ऑफ अस आर वर्किंग ऑन दीज थिंग्स बिकॉज we are only in competition with the West. But I see there is a scope of doing it. And I was amazed that how they knew that there are 3 ways moon can be produced when we didn't know. Of course, they prefer that, their theory is that it has come out of Pacific Ocean, but it is about the same size and so on. But that is not tenable because of conservation of momentum and so on. Some calculations have been made. So one has to look from scientific point of view, but for everything we need evidence now. Otherwise, people will say you are doing pseudoscience, because everything is written in our scriptures. Even in Jainism, I found about 30 things which are clearly mentioned in Agams. And when I go and say they don't believe it, it is very clearly mentioned, but as clear as it could be. But nobody believes in the West until you have this certificate from the peers. I think this remains only as a story or unproven thing. That is very sad actually.
Yes.
सिंघवी साहब, मैं एक जरा ऐड करना चाहूंगा जो भंडारी साहब ने बोला है. एक्चुअली अहमदाबाद में हमने एक साइंस एंड स्पिरिचुअलिटी रिसर्च इंस्टीट्यूट शुरू किया है. तो उसमें अभी आज की तारीख में साइंस और जैनिज्म के ऊपर काफी हम काम कर रहे हैं, मल्टी डिसिप्लिनरी. और एक जैन एकेडमी और दूसरा डॉक्टर दौलत सिंह कोठारी इंस्टीट्यूट है, उसके अंदर भी हमने एक इंडियन नॉलेज सिस्टम का एक सेक्शन जो हम मतलब बनाने की सोच रहे हैं, उसमें इन चीजों के ऊपर भी रिसर्च होगी। मतलब तो उनका मतलब प्रयास कर रहे हैं। वहाँ पे एक दो व्यक्ति हैं जो काफी इसमें रुचि रखते हैं। तो आप भविष्य में मतलब इस संस्थान से जुड़ सकते हैं और हम मतलब साथ में काम कर सकते हैं। मैं आपको आमंत्रण देता हूँ, मतलब निमंत्रण देता हूँ मैं आपको।
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू, थैंक यू। देखो हम वापस व्हील इन्वेंट कर रहे हैं। जो चीज पुरानी लिखी हुई है उसको अपन आगे बढ़ाएं तो बहुत अच्छा है। ये मेरा सोचना था। थैंक यू
बहुत
सर।
बहुत धन्यवाद सर। सिंघवी साहब बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। आप कहाँ से बोल रहे हैं साहब?
उदयपुर से हूँ सर, बिल्कुल।
अच्छा
प्रियदर्शनी कॉलोनी बेदला में रहता हूँ।
अच्छा अच्छा
हिंदुस्तान जिंक में था सर मैं।
अच्छा
हिंदुस्तान जिंक से रिटायर्ड हुआ।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद साहब। तो आपका
मिला है सर विज्ञान।
आपका फोन नंबर आप वहाँ पे दे दीजिए। कुंदन लाल साहब कोठारी जो है मतलब जो प्रेसिडेंट है अभी इंस्टीट्यूट के, उनको आप भिजवा
ठीक
दीजिए।
है। खमेसरा जी हमारे प्रेसिडेंट है जैन इंजीनियर ग्रुप के।
हाँ हाँ हाँ, बस आप उनको दे दीजिए आप। बिल्कुल ठीक है, बिल्कुल ठीक है।
हेलो,
बहुत
थैंक यू
बहुत
सर।
धन्यवाद
एनी
सर।
अदर क्वेश्चन?
क्वेश्चन तो बहुत हैं लेकिन अब समय बहुत हो गया है
जी।
इसलिए बस, बाकी तो क्वेश्चंस तो बहुत हैं। अभी जो जो रिजल्ट्स आ रहे हैं
तो निकल गया।
ऑर्बिटर से, चंद्रयान 2 ऑर्बिटर
फोन करने के
से
लिए कह रहा हूँ तो सुन नहीं रहे। और
ये कौन कर रहा
विक्रम भाई,
है?
विक्रम जी जरा धीरे बोलिए आप।
सॉरी सॉरी।
हाँ, तो जो जो रिजल्ट्स आ रहे हैं ऑर्बिटर के ऊपर, जो इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स काम कर रहे हैं,
जी
उनसे कुछ तो डिफरेंट आ रहे होंगे जो कि चंद्रयान 1 में थे, और कुछ सिमिलर होंगे। और मैपर की इमेजेस रिलीज की जा रही हैं क्या?
सर ऐसा है कि इसको करीब कुछ टाइम लगता है, ये जो लॉन्गिट्यूड, लैटिट्यूड, ऑल्टीट्यूड वगैरह डिटरमिन करने में और वेरीफाई करने में। तो वो काम हो गया है और पेपर आने शुरू हो गए हैं। बट जो मैंने अभी देखा है, दे आर ओनली स्टडिंग न्यू एरियाज विच आर जियोलॉजिकली इंटरेस्टिंग। कोई डिस्कवरी जैसे चंद्रयान में आई थी उस तरह का अभी कोई पेपर आया नहीं है। बट आई थिंक माय फ्रेंड्स इन सैक और वो थे ना, शर्मा जी कहाँ चले गए? अच्छा,
Okay.
anyway, we have to have another meeting
Yes,
after
yes.
some time.
I have a lot of questions. I am limiting them.
ठीक है सर।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद साहब। अपन बाद में डिस्कस करेंगे सेपरेटली।
हाँ।
तो मतलब
मैं आपको बहुत बहुत थैंक्स भी देना चाह रहा हूँ, नरेंद्र जी भंडारी को और पोखरना साहब को। एंड ए wonderful thing you have organized. It has increased our knowledge. And as you know, Moon was my employer for 4.5 years in NASA. So I am grateful that continued interest remains in the Moon. Thank you.
अच्छा, मैं इसके बीच में ये सिंघवी साहब से निवेदन करूंगा, वो उसके ऊपर कुछ बोलना चाहे तो। वो अगर
दो सिंघवी साहब हैं सर।
हाँ, नहीं, अशोक कुमार साहब सिंघवी।
No, it was a wonderful lecture. Enjoyed. I've heard Professor Bhandari, but it was a very good story, very well said, and we enjoyed hearing every bit. And there's some new science element I learned today. So I think it was an excellent recollection of what we have learned from Moon in terms of technology, in terms of science, in terms of our approach. So thanks to Bhandari Sahab for such a wonderful lecture.
It's very kind of
बहुत
you.
बहुत धन्यवाद सिंघवी साहब, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। तो अभी इसको मतलब समाप्त करें अगर, इफ यू ऑल एग्री।
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
नमस्कार सर।
Excellent.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I enjoyed it.
वो आपको फिर से सुनना
वो
चाहेंगे
सर
कभी।
वो आप इसको रिकॉर्डिंग जरा
हाँ
वो कर लीजिएगा।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल बिल्कुल।
Thank you.
Thank you.